Welcome to another Real Talk episode of Blastland. And today I'm very pleased to welcome Sergey Krivochurov, a serial entrepreneur and founder and CEO at StartupandFly from San Francisco. Sergey, welcome to Blastland.
Hi, Dmitry. Nice to see you. Thank you for the invitation.
Very pleased to have you. Sergey, we're going to break the ice. And before you introduce yourself, I would ask you a very simple question. What is your favorite book?
Oh, that's a good one and a hard one because I read a lot, more or less. I try to. I prefer classic literature as opposed to business literature. I can tell you what's my favorite book probably last year. That would be easier because for the spin of the life, that's a really hard question. Because I adore Dostoevsky, and probably my top 1, 2, 3 would be something like Karamazov Brothers, but I have to really think about it. From the last year, I really liked Sholokhov, that's another Russian writer, the book called Quiet Dawn. That's a book about revolution and the civil war in Russia in the beginning of the last century. It's a really breathtaking and big one. It took me, I don't know, maybe 3 months because such books you cannot read really fast. At least me, I need to reread it to really absorb everything. So that would be my top 1 from the last year.
That's interesting. I think you love reading also fiction and some other type of literature, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, fiction, I think these days are a little bit underestimated because I have a lot of friends in the business community. Everyone is a little bit more tilted towards business books or spiritual books or psychological books, which are great in their place. But I just think that classic literature from the last century and the previous century really can give you a lot, especially in the business prospects, because that's the book about true heroes and betrayals and the love and how this all go together, and you can learn so much of that. It may look a little bit boring in the beginning, but believe me, like one of my best memories when I was reading Dostoevsky, the first 100 pages, it's really like a torture. You're trying, but it's complicated. You need to think. But after you cover like 100 pages and moving on, if you have enough bravery to do so, oh man, at the end, there is so much that you get after that. So I experienced that in my 20s. And after that, I realized that, okay, sometimes you have to read 50, sometimes 100 pages. And after that, you'll not miss it a second.
It sounds like beginning to watch series on Netflix. Not all of them seem to be very entertaining in the first series. So after you've done the first part, probably it's going to be more interesting in the second part, right?
Exactly. I'm not too worried about Netflix series because they are organically very popular. A lot of people watch them. But I try to promote across my friends just the importance of the classic literature. I'm saying, guys, that's not really boring. Try it, and yeah, you'll enjoy it. So it's like a natural sales. People that love something, they advertise it just because of the sake of it. But yeah, series, I think it's a revolution in the series the past 10 years. They are more interesting sometimes than the movies, and there are so many high quality ones. So it's out of question.
Is there a particular scene or particular protagonist from a book you named, or maybe some other books, that especially impacted you in the startup scene in the recent decades?
Oh, you mean that I imply for my business as a startup?
Exactly.
That's a good one. I can remember lately. For example, I purchased my first apartment after I read the Foresight Saga by John Goldsworthy. Before that, I was in the mood that you better rent, no need to buy, because what for? You can move at any time. If your wife or girlfriend like it, that there's no problem. Many people do so. But somehow that impacted me when I was reading about this family who is building wealth for ages, for like years and years and dozens of years. I started, maybe it's like actors, when you read a script and you play, you kind of dive into this character and you start to be like him or her. So that's what happened to me with this book. After I read it, I actually decided to purchase my first apartment. I don't know if it's a good or bad decision. So far, I like it, but that impacted me. Speaking about business, I like Richard Branson, Losing Virginity or something like that. It's a good motivational one. Yeah, Steve Jobs, biography, also great. So yeah, many of them. It's like a puzzle, little pieces come together.
Well, that sounds really, really, really amazing. Sergey, you have really, really cool and very multidimensional story to tell of who you are, what you do. I would love to start probably with your early childhood. Because I don't know if serial entrepreneurs and startup guys are naturally born, or they develop to be so in the years. But anyway, I would like to ask you to tell us just briefly about your story. What were the most interesting and challenging maybe moments in your childhood?
Yeah, look, I'm 40 years old. I was born in the city called Voronezh in Russia, which is probably 350 miles on the south from Moscow. Quite city, though it's a million population city. And I think my father actually, make me be like an entrepreneur type, because since I was a very small kid, he was doing something. It was a crazy time of the 90s in Russia. Was a lot of I think in the all CIS region, there was a lot of mafia. It was a lot of fast money, and if you are active, high energy, you can make a fortune real quick. But it was dangerous and interesting at the same time. So he was buying and selling stuff. He organized like a small boutique, small shop. And when I was a kid, after school, I ran by that shop, bought a bottle of water. Actually, I didn't bought it. I just took it and say, "Hey, please tell my mom that I took it to the cashier." And I felt proud that I can do that. Not my classmates, they couldn't. And I took I don't know, Coca-Cola or something and shared between everyone. And I felt that this is something that my father owns, this little shop. And I remember when I was 6 or 7, I was selling apples from the garden, like a civil garden um, that was located near us. And we decided with my friend just to take some apples, sell them on the bus station, take some money, and buy, I don't know, chewing gums. So that was we did. We didn't do it like every day, but we did it once for sure. I remember that very clearly. And again, I think I did it because of my father and all his activities. Really, like the senior schools of college and the university years, I couldn't say it was really entrepreneurial for me. That was a time of friendship and adventures and girls and all this stuff. But then middle of the I think sophomore or junior year of university, I started working, and gradually, I felt this inside of me, because I could be a little bit late with sessions, with the exams, but I could make it anyways. And my friends from the class, they told me like, "Hey, you have a skill that you can be late with preparation, but then focus and pass the exam with a good mark." And then I moved to Moscow probably on the 4th year of studying university, and yeah, did a decent career. And I am an entrepreneur like maybe 12, 13 years. So at the age of 20, 26, 27, when I was in America, I live in the Bay Area. I actually share my time right now between France, Paris, and the Bay Area. But then in America, I really became an entrepreneur. When I met some people, I was working in a co-working space in San Francisco, Rhode Island Street. And there was an open space with a lot of people sharing thoughts to each other. And That's how I get this vibe, understood this. I belong to that. I'm one of you guys. And we started with a small consultancy, and then it raised to a company.
It is always, a very interesting question that especially the young people are interested to know more about, is the so-called American dream. Because you, as a young man, having just recently studied, and you get to the States and begin in a consultancy in San Francisco, how do you end up? How is this bridge possible? How do you get to the States? Um,
Yeah, first of all, when I worked for companies, some friends of yours, when on a coffee break or during lunch, they try to keep saying me, different people, like, "Hey, it looks like you have to be running your own thing. It looks like that you are that type." And I was, getting that feedback, and I was feeling inside of me that this is something I really want, but maybe afraid of making the move, because when you're at the middle of 20s, you getting the decent paychecks because you are an expert already, especially towards the 30s, and it takes courage to make the step to the unknown. So I think really the decisive factor was me moving to the States. At that time, I joined one startup company led by a very courageous and smart lady. Her name is Elena Masolova. She was like one of top 30 entrepreneurs of Russia at that time, and she invested in the education technology in the States. And she took me as a country manager. I was supervising sales in the America, being in Russia, and then pretty soon I persuade her that I need to be there actually, because that's the market that we're trying to penetrate. It's impossible to do online without like meeting people, understanding what's the reality. So the moment I moved there, I think that was a turning point, as I said, because I saw so many small entrepreneurs. That's the thing that I think is Russia and many countries lacking. That the business starts with small entrepreneurs. The guy who just decided he want to be a consultant. He knows something. He want to sell it. He knows how to advertise it, how to make relationship with your first clients. And yeah, like there's no downsides of that. You just go and do it. And in the co-working space where I worked, there was one guy on a wheelchair, but he was so high energy, so enthusiastic. He was doing something in the programming. He was developing his own tool. And then I was at the office pretty early, and I finished pretty late because I also play tennis every day in San Francisco. There are a lot of public courts. Tennis is one of my lifelong passions. And that's why you take a shower. All the co-working spaces, they have showers and stuff. And I saw him like from early hours to late hours, and we developed a little friendship between us, and that was one of the inspirational experiences. And yeah, you just look around and everyone is doing their own startup, their own project, and that really showed me that that's not actually fearful. You can do it. And yeah, then I met one American guy, born and raised from a good family with good connections, and we started at first, little consultancy, no company, no entity, but pretty soon we became official and with a brand, etc.
what type of consultancy? What did you do? What was the idea?
That's mainly sales consultancy for B2B projects. So these days, a lot of guys, they sell product or service here and there. They prefer to go globally. US is one of the most interesting markets. And many teams enter this market without knowledge of how things are working there. And we help solve the challenges of making B2B appointments with your customers, with your prospects. For the purpose of expert interview, let's say you have a product, you want to market it in the US, but at first you want to hear the feedback. If you go with that product, what the buyers tell you. Maybe it's missing some features. Maybe it's super cool. Go immediately. So it's called customer development interviews. That's what we do, and just the pure sales appointments. That's also what we do. And it's funny because when I was building my career in the sales, these two pieces of the sales process were the most boring for me, because I thought, okay, that's transactional, that's not super like scientific. I prefer to concentrate on negotiations and closing deals, discussing big projects, making presentation. That was my thing. But tell the god your plans and he'll laugh at you. So turned out that my professional area as an entrepreneur is exactly these things that I considered boring. They turned out not to be boring now. A lot of things to improve, especially on the scale. So that's what I do.
That's an awesome story. That's an awesome story. Sergey, too, I mean, obviously, many people are nowadays, especially due to the latest developments in AI and machine learning, extremely interested in doing startups and getting into your own venture. If, according to you, you have seen many people, many startups, and yourself even, what are the key ingredients for a successful startupper? And what are the hurdles and the challenges, if you would summarize them for yourself?
Yeah, the scene right now is extremely crowded. There are so many projects, SaaS projects. We're talking specifically about the tech business, because that's where I have experience. I don't know how things are going in manufacturing of airplanes, etc. That's a different domain, but product and services in the technology industry is it's booming the last 10 years. And I think the most successful teams are the ones who really love the product and understand it really deeply and focus on one thing. Because when you share time between 2-3 projects, I think it requires some seniority. When you have like 10-15 years of experience, you already established, you have your right hand and left hand partners who you trust, who are super experts. In this case, yes, but in the beginning, I think if you focus 12 hours a day on one thing and there's a potential in it, you can't believe me which kind of projects I saw flying up from the niches that you would never see it's possible. It's like, for example, my brother, he's doing the live statues. This it's a little bit, in the creative business, when there's a people covered with a special thing and they look like a statue, and they can advertise. I don't know, when a new car arrives, they can play, be located near the entrance and just greet people on some city holidays. So at first there was like a art experience for him, but then he realized that he can make a business out of it. And gradually, step by step, he's got customers, he's got offices, like virtual offices in different cities. And I was amazed. I said, really? You can make business out of that? Now, of course, he's an actor. He's a little bit not interested in the business, more towards directing and acting. But just one example that it can be anything. Another friend of mine, a lady, she's making an application and service for going out with no, sorry, not going out, but I forgot the English word. When you have a dog, a pet, and you want to go to the street and then come back. So this normally the hosts of the dogs do that, but very often it's not comfy. Maybe you're lazy, maybe you are going for a weekend somewhere, and she created this app so you can find a person who will go to the street with your dog just for a couple hours or whatever. And it turned out to be like the biggest app in this field in a region. And so yeah, literally, I think when you have this sense of what people's missing right now, I don't know, maybe a great banking application, maybe you name it, a great microphone or whatever. If you feel like you, like as a consumer, is missing that, there is no on the market, just go with it. Become an expert and go with it. So I think that's the plan for success, obviously.
That's really good advices, yeah. And some errors that you have seen by people. I mean, are there any big failures that you have seen already in experience?
Oh yeah, but failures is okay. Everyone going through them, especially entrepreneurs. 9 failures, one good thing. So that's normally the ratio. So that's okay as soon as you learn from them. Very common mistake from the friends of my age right now who are already successful entrepreneurs, not like Elon Musk, but on our level, of course. They finish something, they get good money for that, they believe in a new idea, and they are too confident. They start to invest a lot into this new idea because, okay, they understand I did it in the past. I know exactly how to become successful. But every time it's like a romance with a real person. You never know. You cannot be sure that you know the market, that you know the consumer behavior. You have some hypotheses, but they need to be proved. So I would say don't be overconfident when you've done it before. That's like a people of the common mistake at my friends. But in the early stages of the career, you can make all sorts of mistakes. Don't get the right people near you. Someone don't believe in you, or you get someone who turned out to be lazy, for example. It's hard to raise money for the first project. One of the common mistakes is that you do not put enough attention to the customer. You need to be like 110% focused on their needs, really. And I mean, I met many entrepreneurs who are product gurus. They are very high level experts in the product, but they're lacking some sales skills, and that's really killing the whole thing. So you need to improve your sales skills, or maybe find good partners, because at the end of the day, it's not only the technology, but how you articulate it and how you hear. You have to have like an antenna to hear what users are sharing with you. So all sorts of mistakes are possible. Don't be afraid of them. That's okay.
I actually took notes after you for myself because all the advice, what I loved mostly what you said, I never heard it before, that a startup is kind of romance. So it's a it's a very cool, very cool to hear that. And the missing customer focus is of course very um, big challenge for especially young startuppers. Sergey, you are anyway in the let's say in the sales affine part of or domain of startups. If you were to say, what is the ratio between a good product? So basically, I have developed a really good firm product demanded by the clientele, by the market, and so on, with all the goodies on top. But I'm not a very skillful salesman or saleswoman. How many percent is sales, and how many percent are the product? If you were to divide it into two parts.
Okay, it's another good one. I want to say something obvious like 50-50, but it really depends on the niche. Because if we're talking about more technology verticals, industries, sometimes you being just a great product expert and you publish something on TechCrunch and people love it. They immediately see that this is something new, big, promising, they like it. You can have first clients without even sales. And we have some friends like that. I came across such stories. At the same time, very often with a very weak product, but very talented salespeople, you take off and fly very fast. And there might be problems of a different type when your sales team is gorgeous, but the product is lacking some features and your clients come and go and the crunch rate is high, etc. So both are important. These are the most important things in my views. And then again, depending on if it's a B2B or B2C, if your product or service is B2C, I would say that marketing efforts may be a little bit even more important than the sales, than the negotiations, presentations, because product and a wise digital marketing, that's the very good winning formula for B2C product. For B2B, of course, you need to have representatives who can articulate your brand, your values, who knows exactly the pain points of the clients. All these things are obvious, but believe me, I met a lot of cases and teams where they are very strong in a product, but they really underperform on the sales calls. That's what we do. We organize sales calls, but they are taken by somebody else from the team, right? And when I listen to those calls, just to give a feedback free of charge, just as a friend, I say, guys, that's just not the way it should be, because there is a lot of preparation to the conversation. You need to, get information about the person you're talking to, about the company, understand the news, make some assumptions. That's it's a labor, and the sales science are very far in how to do that. So you have to be sincere and operate a lot of information. And if you don't do that, but just have a great product, there might be some losses which shouldn't be actually. So yeah, keep attention to both of that. And normally everyone knows the best pair in the business, one guy from the technology part and one guy from the sales part. That's how businesses are constructed these days.
I want to particularly ask you also about the team, because it's a well-known thing that you have the product, the market, and the team, which is probably one of the most complicated parts of the story always. And one particular topic I'm very interested in. I have met like dozens of startuppers, some of them quite dumb. They have a really good idea, they are doing well, but once somebody else is coming from a side, be it a VC or an angel or even just a friend who is helping out, they're like kind of short-sighted and uh, having this feeling that this is my baby, my investment, and then they are not so successful in the end. So what would you say to all of these guys who created something, the product, it's really cool, and how would you build up gradually really performing a cool team and letting the people co-work with you without having a feeling that, wow, I'm letting in somebody and they will get my idea away. So what would you say to all those people?
Yeah, man, first of all, such things as like someone's getting into the team and then stealing your idea, they exist. We're also like social network movie about Facebook, right? It's a kind of the case. Yeah, it's hard because you put it on the right place. Building a great product is one set of skills. Then the sales thing is another thing. And gathering a team around you is a third thing. And depending on who you are, what are your skill set, it may be tricky. You need to know how to delegate things. You need to have this eye on how to scan the person and see if he's lazy, if he's honest, if he's hardworking, if he really wants to be a part of something big, or just want to get the paycheck home and stay with you for 3-4 months and then go for the next one. So yeah, again, very often with the startups there are advisors who are like more senior in age, who can help with evaluating key team members. Like, for example, if you are a smart technology guy and you need to hire VP of sales because you're crossing the 7 digits revenue in the States, you obviously need a VP of sales. And yeah, it's tricky to find a good one. And sometimes you make mistakes and you learn from them. So the good news is that there's no fatal mistake. Even if you made a mistake, that's okay. You can replace the person. Just important to not let it go, to control things until you really sure that this is a good choice, that finally, luckily, you have a great people around you. I can tell you a brief story of my partnership, because I was one of the guys who never did business together. I believe in like soul rangers. But then my first actual business in the States was together with an American guy. And it was great in the beginning. It was superb. We say things like "I love you, bro," and it's when I came to the States, I stayed at his house, etc. And we actually started without seeing each other, only online. But then, and yeah, I heard all these stories because every partnerships come to the end. It's money, it's responsibilities, it's whatever, but it's really complicated. And I was answering no, but that's us, like 100% trust, no way. At the end, that was really funny. The thing that separated us, I called it Hawaii trip, because at that time we were making something around like 10 grand each. We were getting to this threshold, like 5, 6, 7, 8, you get into 10 monthly. And I went to Hawaii for a couple weeks, and he was in Georgia. But then I loved it so much. I was like, this is the best place I've ever visited. So great. It's surfing, tennis, like weather. I want to stay here. And I just rented an apartment, and I stayed there for a couple months. And I think inside of me, he couldn't bear it, because he probably doesn't know this time, specific thing of Slavic people, that they can live without too much comfort sometimes when they love the place. For example, I was sharing the apartment with another guy. I have my own room, of course. He has his own room and living room, beautiful view, balcony, all the rainbows. It's a rainbow state. But it didn't cost me a lot. But as a Instagram pictures was like, okay, he's in Hawaii, the most expensive place, because the night costs, I don't know, 300 USD. How can he afford it? And I felt that after, actually during that trip, there was some tensions going up and up and up. And then funny enough, because of that, we ended our, not only that, but I think that was one of the triggers. We started lacking a little bit of trust maybe, and we ended this cooperation, which I think is for the good, because we grew since that many folds. I think he's doing well as well, because he went towards a little bit different direction, but he's a good guy. I think everything's fine. But yeah, that was my personal experience, that these partnerships is a really complicated ones. We're all human, right?
That's
With
the
our
story.
sins.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what about giving away the control too early? This is another big dilemma, I think, especially for young startups. When you like get too early, VC or a private investor, whoever, who is asking probably for 51% or so. What would be your advice to all these guys? Uh, Give away control earlier and receive good firm expertise, or wait and see and try yourself as long as you can?
Yeah, that's a real dilemma depending on your product and your personal situation, because everyone is in different need for money. Someone is, I don't know, coming from a poor region and trying their best, and they need to cash as soon as they can. And in this case, they can lose control, no problem, because they have already a next idea in mind. They'll keep going with the startup, and couple years from now, they enter a new business. Oops, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know why. On my phone, it's a do not disturb mode, but I apologize. Sometimes when I see this happening on the interviews, I say, how dumb. Like, can you switch off your phone? Let me switch it off completely, actually. So yeah, some people, they are in this condition when it's not a big problem for them. Lose control temporarily, keep working for the startup because you still have enough share, and then start a new one. But if you are not in a desperate position for money, if you believe in your product, if you see a good growth, I would go, of course, I would try to give away as little as possible, simply because you believe in it, and it's very individual. We have a business game recently in this community that I belong. When we That was a game like, okay, you are an investor and you are a team of people who is raising money, and there are so many parameters there. It's not only the percentage that you're giving; it's like a type of shares that you're giving away, the cliff, and like the option plan, and what option plan you leave for your team, for the CEO, for the COO. There are so many variables. I would say it's a complicated thing. You probably need to learn for several months to really wrap your hand around all that and become an expert and feel confident on the negotiations. Until that, I would highly suggest you to take a senior partner, um, whoever, like a legal person, because it's really hard. You may say, okay, I'm saying yes to 20%, but then you don't understand that actually it's not a good deal, because besides that percentage, there are many other things. But yeah, another recipe would be just to compare offers. Don't go with the first one and have negotiations with 2 or 3 funds. That's okay. Everyone respect that and see what they can offer you.
So basically, as if you would be going to buy a fridge. You don't buy the first one. You take a look at the different models, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was probably not the best comparative example, but um, Sergey, you play tennis. Tell us a bit more where this passion and love came from, and who do you play tennis with? Of course,
Yeah.
obviously not with the wall. So,
Oh, you brought one of the best partners. No kidding. I started when I was 6 year old, and I belong to that generation that too many people are going to the tennis club, tennis like group, and there was not enough nets. Actually, we have only 2 courts for maybe 20 kids in our training session. So I was hitting the wall a lot, and believe me, I think that develops the feel of the ball very well. Because sometimes I feel I'm 40-year-old, I may lack the speed sometimes or anything else, but the sense of the ball, the touch, I think I still got in a way. So Wall is a good partner, especially for the beginners. But then I've played all my life semi-professionally, I would say. I only once played Future tournament, which is the first grade of international tournament, and that wasn't much successful. I lost in the qualies because that's a different animal, right? People who are playing futures, challengers. I'm not even talking about ATP Tour because these are the gods. They're absolutely machines. So all these are extremely competitive these days. You can't believe how many great players are not seen yet. And we can say that by how fast they progress once they enter the ATP Tour. Because if you remember, like Roger Federer, he was super talented, but he was going slowly up the ranking. And if you look at Carlos Alcaraz or all the new guys, they enter top 200. 3 months later, they enter top 100. 3 months later, they enter top 50. That's crazy. That shows you that behind the scenes in the Challenger Tour, the level is extremely high. The competition is extremely high. So, but talking about me, as I said, I play like semi-pro right now. I can say I play amateur level, good amateur level. I play some tournaments in the States, USTA League. I play some tournaments in Europe. I love it. I play with everyone who's, because San Francisco gives you a great chance to that. Dolores Park, many courts, and there's so many picturesque, beautiful courts in the Bay Area with great views. You play, you go to barbecue. So yeah, tennis is my passion, and it's a super social sport. And another quick story: when I first came to the States, I pretty much the next week discovered how many public courses there are. They are free of charge, and you just go there and you make new friends, and it's really great. It's more social than I would say golf, which is a more pompous, higher pace. But here, and it's not so mass market like a football, for example. When there are 20 people, it's harder to make one-to-one connections. But tennis helped me a lot to introduce in the community. So a month from my first week in San Francisco, I knew guys from Twitter, Facebook, Apple, all interesting young people. And then I had a lunch with another girl. I think she was from Ukraine. He was just sharing thoughts like, "How are you? How are you?" And she told me, "Listen, I love America. California is great, but one thing is missing. It's like closer relations with the people because I feel like there is a distance. It's not easy to go to someone's house or invite someone." And I told her, "Listen, in my life, the formal is tennis because 2 months since I landed, I have maybe 200 plus friends in Facebook. Friends in quotes, of course, but good people. Sometimes you go out with them." And I told her, "Just try it. It's a super social." So tennis in my life played a really big role. I know some of the pro players because I was part of the project that was focused on the young and established tennis players. I played tennis with Tommy Haas once in my life because again we met with him for the business purpose, And then was a thing when we were sitting in a restaurant in LA, and I told him, Tommy, I admire your like one-handed backhand and everything you've done. He was the second in the world. He's friends with Roger. And I told him, if at any given moment in your life you feel like you can play with me just a tie break, I would be extremely happy. Just know it, okay? No pressure. And then there was a moment when we should meet in LA again, and the last second he has to decline it because his health. He got sick a little bit. He apologized and said, "No worries, no problem. I'll just go back from the airport. Let me know when you feel better." And maybe after that he felt that he need to make up for it a little bit, even though he doesn't have to. And he invited me to his house in Beverly Hills. It was lovely. We shared the court. We played a tie break up to 7. He taught me a lot of things. He's a great guy, and he introduced me to some friends of his. So yeah, tennis. I can tell hours about it. Love it.
Did he let you win?
You won't believe it. Yes, because when you play with a pro like him, of course he's toying with you. It's like, of course. And he was toying with me in a way he wins, like, I don't know, 2 points easily, and then he toys with me, let me strike, make the shots, and then it's 2-2. Then again he wins one, and then he toys with me. And then I realized that, okay, if I want to win, I have to play my best in my life, just 2 points in a row, and I can win it. And that's what I did at the end. So it's a pure luck with him toying with me, but at the end we shook hands and I said, Tommy, now I can say that I won a tiebreaker with you. Can you imagine how big is that for me? He was laughing. Of course, he'll crush me like without even trying. But yeah, formally, that happened.
So big advice from Sergey to all young startuppers: play tennis, do sports. It's a good social platform, right?
Yeah, guys, 100%. I'm not sure about other sports. I think if you're aiming at specifically US, the basketball can be a good door opener. Again, I hate to say door opener because I love tennis. I not play to be established. It's just happily together. It's luckily. But if you just think logically, there are sports that it's easier to do, and there are sports it's maybe a little bit harder. So tennis in California, I don't know, number 1, 2, 3 sport, super popular. So just try it. It's good for your health. It's a combination of geometry, right? The way you forward the ball, and good cardio. Yeah, why not?
And geometry is not only important in tennis, but also in business.
Exactly.
I've got a very good friend of mine in Chicago. He says absolutely the same about ice hockey. He's a passionate ice hockey player. And I think he's going like a couple times a week to play ice hockey. And same story. So it's networking, it's cool people, and some nice ideas and exchanges. And who knows? Sergey, we're going to change the topic a bit from the startup venture sports scene towards being a father.
Oh yeah.
I think you're a father of children, and tell us a bit more about the role of a father in children's life.
Yeah, Dmitry. It's for me, it's probably the most important thing that happened to me. I'm a father of 2 boys, 12 and a half and 3.5. And I wish I have more. Like honestly, when I have a baby, I realize that every 3, 4, 5 years I should have one, simply because they make you so much better. They ask for a lot of care, a lot of time, a lot of sleeping hours, but there is such a gratitude in response. You just have no idea before you try. So when I was in my 20s, and you are on a plane going somewhere, and there is a baby screaming, you think, oh, why need next to me? Like, why I'm so unlucky? So there is no other sentiment than it's a little bit disturbing, and you don't feel maybe that much love. I don't know about other people, but for me it was like that. But when I have my own, I was truly, everything's changed. I'll give you one example. In your circuit, probably there is a person that you don't like, and you count that person is mean or bad. We can say some bad words, but in everyone's environment there are people they don't like. And after after I had a baby, there was a huge discovery for me. When I look at these eyes, he didn't talk at that time. I just saw that smiles. When you see that we are all actually made the same, small, kind, vulnerable, who depend 100% on us, beautiful, and absolutely like there is no bad things inside of that creature. And after that, I was thinking about this bad guy, for example. I thought that, wow, so he was exactly the same. And then in life, further in life, some mean people did something to him, offend him, or somehow else that his trajectory starts to go not the right way. And that's why he became that person who can betray you or who can say bad things about you. And the moment you realize that actually all the anger slightly goes away and you feel, how to say, you feel for him, right? You want to say, you want to hug him or say, you shouldn't go that way. You was that perfect and great and kind. And that was really changing everything for me. Of course, gradually, year after year, this thing disappeared because a lot of dust coming every day. You battle for something and you start to forget it. But then with my second boy, I remember that. So I think kids make you kinder, more, I don't know, responsible in a good sense, not just to change the panties, but you feel like someone is really believing that you are the god. That's kind of a sensation. It's hard to get elsewhere. From a loving woman, you can get it, from mom and dad, but I think in a way it's even stronger. For someone, you become an absolute god. They trust you more than anything else. They depend on you 100%, and this feeling makes you, I think, only better. And it's like a drug. You're addicted to it immediately.
So when we talked prior to this podcast, you told me something interesting. I think it was like enjoy being a father. You said, if I'm not mistaken. So the time of being a father is quite limited, of course. Yeah, highly likely by 18 or 21 in the US, yeah, officially. But anyway, what are the best moments, and how do you enjoy being a father?
Yeah. Listen, I didn't know that I'm gonna enjoy it so much because my father is loving and caring, but he's more like a Russian dad. He's doing something all the time, and then he can do something together with you. And actually, my grandfather was more like a person of constructing something, fixing something, and my dad was more like an entrepreneur, inspiration for me, and maybe some stand-up comedian. That thing also he had it. So I love him immensely, but we didn't have like very close connection because it's always more like from the mother. And then with my kids, I don't know. I feel like I'm a second mother. I want to spend time with them. I toy with them, play with them, make jokes when they can laugh until they, peace. It's the biggest win for me because that's the pure laughter that goes without stop. So yeah, pretty surprisingly for myself, I realized that I adore being that in that role, being a father. And speaking about the timelines, the first year and a half, all the parents understand me, is the most, I would say, difficult because of the sleepless nights and all the things. And it's really hard. There are a lot of things that you love also about that time, but it's more difficult than the following times. And starting from a year and a half up until probably, I don't know, hopefully it's 15, 14, when they start to change a little bit. I'm about to know it, but I see the first signs. That's just a great time that sometimes you catch yourself on a thought, I don't want him to grow up. It's just ideal. 5-year-old, please be 5-year-old a little bit longer because you can speak. We can go whatever we want, go on a horse ride. He already knows how to go on a bicycle. You can laugh, watch movies, of not all of them, but yeah, sometimes you want a time to freeze. But yeah, I'm probably I'm not like super experienced father yet because I didn't go together with my kids up until their 20s, 30s. There are challenges and different things all the way up, but so far, I think really that's the best thing happened to me.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Sergey. I have another question to you. Do you think it's important to stay to a certain part, or maybe completely a child for the whole life, being an adult, also in business? Because the reason why I'm asking is a very simple one. I've got another podcast previously with a friend of mine, Olga, and she told me exactly this: you have to stay a child in order to enjoy life and business and doing some crazy things in business. So what would you say to that? Is it important and interesting idea to stay a child even as an adult?
Oh, I think that's one of the best things that you can do really to be successful at every aspect of the life, in your personal relationships, with a friendship, with business. I truly believe so. Because who is the kid if we look at it, right? It's people with eyes wide open, who are not bored, who are amazed, who are always waiting for the next good chapter, right? It's them. I mean, when you speak to the kid, they live in the future a little bit, in the moment, of course, more than adults, and in the future. I want to do that next year. I want to do this next month. So they're full of plans, and yeah, their reaction is more sincere than reaction of adults. In many ways, they are better. Well, I mean, that's us, but with some experience, with some scars. But I think the longer you can carry it, this inner kid, the absolute best for you. There are unfortunately professions when it's hard, when you see people, in pain. Life is the thing that there are professions that people become more cynical, and that's super important professions, like a surgery, right? So what are we going to do without it? And I admire these people who do that, maybe losing a little bit of this childhood thing, but they're just saving a lot of lives. But on average, if you don't have that occupation, I would say carry this as far as you can. It's gonna make you only good in any aspect of life.
That's an interesting point, Sergey. One topic which is also quite interesting, I think, to briefly touch is nowadays you have a lot of toxic people in the world, really a lot, unfortunately. What's your advice on a business level, how to deal with toxicity and toxical people? What did you have experience with that?
Stay away as much as you can. But also my attitude is that I always try to understand them, like what drives them. Because as I said, my position is that everyone is born non-toxical, and then we have just different experiences. Someone was, brought up to the life by caring, lovely people, love parents, and then it was good years in the school, and life is good. But other people are going through very problematic times. So when someone looks like a toxic person, I had several in my circuit. I try to just scientifically understand what's driving them, have a conversation, trying to understand the views and why so, and is it a play or is it like a real stand for the person? And these days, I can say I have I see many around me. Maybe that's again my circuit, people I meet in the gym, on tennis court, in the business. There are more and less social people, more or less funny people. Um, there are some toxic ones, but normally it's either like a medical thing. You see on the street sometimes these guys, they're just crazy and miserable, and that's actually a tragedy. Or yeah, sometimes people just can't find themselves and they express some bad things around. So yeah, stay away if your psychology is vulnerable. I consider mine not that much vulnerable, so I can actually be pretty close and asking questions and trying to understand just from a scientific point, like why you become like that. Sometimes it gives you an interesting information.
That's a good advice. That's a good advice. Sergey, what would you love to say to all the young people out there globally who want to do something, they want to found something, a startup, a venture, a product, whatever. What would be your three key messages to those people?
I would tell guys, read books. I want to just make advice non-typical, like believe in yourself, work hard. That's all obvious, but I want to highlight once again, just read fiction books. That works with your imagination. That's open up your horizons. If you find an interview of Elon Musk, like one of the most successful entrepreneur right now, he told that at the age of 12 I finished the whole library of my parents. Not many people know that. I talked to some young people and they are sure that he was reading like a business literature from the kindergarten. No, the thing is that in this age when you absorb a lot of information, the more fiction books you read about the pirates, about the space, about, I don't know, 19th centuries and all the battles and all the love stories, that's gonna enrich your mind, dramatically. That will help you with anything. You'll be able to scan people better because you already know so many stories of good guys, bad guys, and how this all twin together. And that will help you to dream big, which is key for the businessman.
That's a very, very good advice. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Sergey,
bro.
I thank you for from the bottom of my heart for your time, for this wonderful talk we had today. And yeah, we're gonna definitely need a second podcast, I think. We're gonna dedicate it more, probably deep dive into books
Yeah, I'm
next
all
time.
for it. Thank you, Dmitry. I wish you all the best with your channel. Let it fly and go high. And yeah, I'll meet you once again with pleasure.
Of course. Sergey, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Cheers.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io.